Hello guys, this is the third video on coordinate geometry, and today we're going to be focusing on the topic that is called graph of linear equation in two variables. Now before we start, let us first discuss the meaning of the term that are involved in this particular chapter, so that it will be easy for you to understand the whole exercise. Okay, now the first one is graph. Now what does it mean? The graph means plotting a point on the graph paper. By using graph paper, by using two coordinate axes, x axis and y axis. So whatever we plot here, that is what we do on the graph. Now the second term is linear equation. Now what does it mean? Now linear equation is an equation, and now what we do in an equation, we relate two terms. So linear equation is an equation in which the power or the degree of the variable used is always 1. So what does that mean? So let me explain you with an example. Now let's take an example of this equation. X plus 3y is equals to 4 and x squared plus 3y is equals to 4. Now what is the difference between these two equations? Now if you look at the first equation, the degree of the power is 1, but here the degree of the power is 2. Now if the power or the degree of the variable are all the alphabets that we use while doing mathematical calculating. Okay, so if the degree or the power of the variable is 1, then it is called linear equation, and if it is 2, it is called quadratic equation. So here we'll discuss about linear equation. Okay, now there are lots of variables. Okay, a plus b plus, now this also represents linear equation. So here we are taking only those linear equations with two variables. So if you look at this one, this is also linear equation. Why? Because the degree or the power of the variable is 1. But we cannot use this. Why? Because if you look at the Cartesian plane or the coordinate plane, the axes that I use are x and y, and whatever point we'll get here, what is it called? It is called coordinate. So if you look at the coordinate, means the value of x, that is abscissa and ordinate. So the variable used are x and y here, so that's why we cannot use other variable. So we can use only two variable, and what are the two variables that we use here? X and y. Okay. So now in this particular video, we'll discuss about how to graph a linear equation. Now what does it mean? Now any linear equation, A, represents straight line. Now the question is how to draw straight line graphically. Okay, so that's what we are going to discuss in this particular lesson. Okay, so what are the steps involved? What are the methods? So that is what we are going to discuss here. Now let's take an example. Now if you look at this one, this is a linear equation. Now how to represent this graphically? Now we know that any linear equation represents straight line. So now what we have to do here is we have to find the coordinate by using this linear equation, and that coordinate. Now what is a coordinate? Coordinate represents point. It is a point. So that we have to plot it on the graph paper, and after plotting the point, now we have to join all the points. Then that has to be straight line. Okay. Now so what are the steps involved? Number one, we need to represent x in terms of y or y in terms of x. Now what does this mean? That means that in simple word, see, we have two variables in this linear equation. Now what we need to do is we need to keep one variable on the left hand side, and all the other term including the other variable will go to the other side. Now let me show you with an example. If you look at this one, this is a linear equation. Now we represent x in terms of y. So what we do, we keep x on the left hand side, and all the other term including the other variable will go to the other side. So if we take y to the other side, it will be minus 1, and if we take 3 to the other side, it will be minus 3. Okay. Again, we need x, not the coefficient of x. So where will this 2 go? This 2 will go down if we cross multiply. So here we represented x in terms of y. Or we can do it this way also. We can keep y on the left hand side, and all this other term we can take it to other side. Okay, so this is the first step that we need to do, either x in terms of y or y in terms of x. Now it's up to you whether you want to keep x in terms of y or y in terms of x. Now which one is easy? So if you look at this one, here we have a denominator, but here we don't have anything on a denominator. So what I'll do, I'll take y in terms of x. The two terms are very important here. Now if you look at this one, whatever term is there on the right hand side, these are all independent variable. It has its own value. You can take any value here, but value of y depends. So value of y depend on x, so it is called dependent variable. So if we have independent variable and dependent variable. So I'm repeating once again, whatever term is there on the right hand side, we can take any value to this variable. So it is called independent variable because it has its own value. But value that is there on the right hand side, it depends upon the value that is there on the right hand side. So they depend on the variable that is there on the right hand side. So whenever you put the value of x, then the value of y changes. So it's called dependent variable. Okay? Now, step number 2. Now, we have to choose any 3 values of the variable that is there on the right hand side. So what variable is here on the right hand side? X. Now we can take any 3 values and we'll make the table, which will help us to find the coordinate. The coordinate means point. We need x and y to plot it on the graph paper. Okay. So now let's make the table. So x and y. Now y is equals to, now this is independent variable. So all of its value depends upon the value variable that is there on the right hand side. So what we do here is we'll take any 3 values. See, we have to take 3 values. So we'll take any 3 value arbitrarily or randomly. But I suggest you to take, so what is there on the right hand side? 0, 1 and minus 1. So now when x is equals to 0, then the value of y will be, and we just substitute it here, 2 into 0. Now we are substituting the value of x as 0. So 2 0 is 0, minus 3 will give you minus 3. So when x is equals to 0, y is minus 3. Now when x is equals to 1, then y is equals to minus 2 into 1 minus 3. So this is minus 2 minus 3, which will give you minus 5. And when y is equals to minus 1, so I'm doing it here only, then this will be minus 1. So minus into minus will be plus. So this will give you minus 1. Okay? Now, third step, I will plot this point on the graph paper. Okay, so now we don't need this one. So let's try to plot it on the graph paper. So let us take x-axis and y-axis. Now here it is x dash, y dash. Now all this you have to do it on the graph paper. But if you don't have graph paper, you can do it roughly. But please use scale. And each unit has to be equal. So let's take this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, now when x is 0, y is minus 3. 1, 2, and 3. Y is minus 3. So 0 and minus 3. We don't have x, but we have 1. When x is equals to 1, y is minus 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 and minus 5. And when x is minus 1, y is minus 1. So the point lies here. If we join this, then we'll get a straight line. Now extend this, okay, because we have infinite point here, so all this point has to satisfy the given equation. So these points are called collinear points which lie on the same straight line. Point which lie on the same straight line are called collinear points. Remember this one, because we have a question related with this collinear point in this in the fourth exercise when we do distance formula, and this term is there. So this is how we plot the point, and now the next step is join all the points to form or to get the straight line. Now you have to give and because it will go till infinity, and it proves that all the point here satisfy the given straight line. So this is how we graph a linear equation of two variables. Okay, so let's take more examples so that will be easy for you to understand the chapter. So let's take another example. When it says draw the graph of a linear equation is given. So here is the solution. So 4x minus 3y plus 12 is equals to 0. And use it to find the area. So first let's try to find the graph of linear equation on the graph paper. Then we'll discuss about the second part. So two parts are here. Now please note this down. All the calculation you have to do it on the right hand side of your graph copy, and the plotting part that you have to do it on the graph paper. Now in examination time also, all the calculation that you have to do it on your answer script, and all the plotting part that you have to do it on the graph paper. You cannot do any calculation at the back of your graph paper, because I have seen so many students doing that. You won't get any marks. Keep this in mind. Now, so what is the first step that we need to do here? We need to represent either x or y on the right hand side. So what I'll do, I'll take y to the other side, and this constant also will go to the other side. Or x is equals to 3y minus 12 is equals to, 3y minus 12 divided by 4. Now, one important thing. Now in the previous example, whatever we did, we took three values randomly, 0, 1 and minus 1. So I suggest you that if we don't have denominator, then you can take any three values. And what are the three values that we are going to take? 0, 1 and minus 1. So that will be easy to plot, because if you take bigger values, then that won't fit on the graph paper. Now, what we have to do, if we have the denominator, now we cannot take any value randomly. So we have to take that value of y in such a way that when you do the calculation, then whatever value you get, that has to be divisible by 4. So we have to be very careful. Now we have to check it on the rough, okay, because in board example, the rough work are very, very important, and then we'll find out which value of y will satisfy, so that we won't get the decimal value. Okay. Now, so let's make the table. So what are the values that we'll take? Now you pause the video, and first, before I do, you try to figure it out, or you try to do the calculation. So what are the values that are probable or suitable, so that we won't get the decimal value here? Please do that. Okay. Now if you have done, then let's check. So let's make the table over here. Now, here what we are going to do is, whatever variable is there on the right hand side, these are called independent variables, so we have to take the value of y in such a way that it has to be divisible, or when you do the calculation, it has to be divisible by 4. So what are the values that we take? So now, all this calculation, you have to do it on the rough one. Then we'll check at what value it will be divisible by 4, and that value we're going to take. So let's take when x is equals to, we are taking y, so when y is equals to 0, then x is equals to, now see why I am taking 0, because if we take y as 0, 3 0 is 0, so we'll get only 12, 12 is divisible by 4, so this way we will check, minus 12 by 4, so 3 0 plus 0, minus 12, so this will give you minus 12 by 4, which will give you minus 3. So when y is equals to 0, x is equals to minus 3. Now, can we take 1? So if you take 1, so 12 minus 3 will give you minus 9, so 9 is not divisible by 4. Similarly, if we take 2, so you can check, okay? So at what value it will be divisible? So 4. So I am taking 4. 4 3s are 12. So 12 minus 12 will be 0. 0 divided by 4 is 0. So x is equals to 3 into 4 minus 12 by 4. This is 12 minus 12, which is 0 by 4. So are you understanding? See, I am not taking this 1 minus 1, because if you take minus 1 also, 3 into minus 1 will give you minus 3. So minus 3 minus 12 will give you minus 15, which is not divisible by 4. If you take here as 2 also, 3 2s are 6. So 12 minus 6 will give you minus 6. So minus 6 is not divisible by 4. And if you take this as 3 3s are 9. So 12 minus 9. So it won't be possible. So, but if you take the value of y as 4, then it will easily satisfy. Okay? Now, so let's take another value. Now what if you take minus 4? So if you take minus 4 here, this will give you minus 12. So minus 12 will give you minus 24. So this is minus 6. So when y is equals to minus 4, x is equals to minus 6. Clear? Now, let's plot it on the graph paper. So this is your y dash, not x dash. Now one important thing, we have to take 2 centimeter equals to 1 meter. Now on the graph paper you can use it with your scale also. Okay? Now if you look at the graph paper, then this small box is your 1 centimeter, and if you take this whole box, this is your 2 centimeter. So but here we don't have that scale. So let's take a raw one. So 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. So what is the first coordinate? When x is equals to minus 3, y is 0. So the point lies here. If x is 0, it lies on the y-axis, and if y is 0, point lies on the x-axis. Second one, x is 0, but we have y. 1 2 3 4. So this is 0, 4. The third one, minus 6 and minus 4. 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4. So the point lies here. So this is minus 6 and minus 4. If you join this, a straight line is not in arrow. So this is how we'll plot the point, and we'll get the graph of linear equation. Now we have second part also. Use it to find the area. So we have to find the area of a triangle. So sometimes you might get rectangle, also square also. So you need to learn all the formula that are involved to find the area and the perimeter of different figure. So here, area of the triangle formed by the line. So here is the line and the coordinate axis. So these are the two coordinate axes. Now this is the triangle whose area we have to find. Now if you separate this, now let's take this as AO. I'm taking O because this is the origin. So AOB. Now this is a right angle triangle, because you know that all the angles on the graph paper are 90. Now you just need to count the box. So 1 2 3 4. This is 4 units, and this is 1 2 3. So this is 3 units. Now this is a right angle triangle. So what is the formula to find the area of a right angle triangle? Half into perpendicular into base. Now what is the perpendicular? Perpendicular is 4 here. Opposite is hypotenuse. Now this is your perpendicular and base. And base is 2 to the 4. So this is 6 unit. Since we don't have any unit here, whether it's a centimeter or meter or kilometer, we don't know. So what we do here is we write unit, but the area is always in square, so we write square. Sometimes we can write it like this, square unit. So both are correct. So this is how we draw the graph of the linear equation, and we can find the area by using the scale, the units, okay? And we have to use the formula. So this is how we have to solve this kind of equation, okay? Now let's take another example. So it says, use the table given alongside to draw the graph of a straight line, and hence find the value of A and B. Now this is a table. So first thing that we need to do is we have to draw the graph. Then with the help of the graph, we'll find the value A and B. So this is your x, y, x dash and y dash. Now one important note, see how much unit you are taking, that you have to mention it on the graph paper, otherwise you won't get marks in the examination time. See, in the previous question, it was mentioned in the question only, like 2 centimeter is equals to 1 unit on both axes. But here it's not mentioned. So how much unit you take, up to you, but that you have to mention it on the graph paper. Taking 2 centimeter is equals to 1 unit on both axes. And if the coordinates are very big, so if it won't fit, if you take 2 centimeter, then you can reduce it. Taking 1 centimeter is equals to 1 unit on both axes. So I suggest you, if the coordinate is 5, then you can take 2 centimeter very easily. But if it is more than 5, then it won't fit. So I suggest you to take 1 centimeter. So here we are taking 2 centimeters because it is 5 and it will easily fit on the graph. Now, so this is the first coordinate that we have to plot. So x is equals to 1 and y is minus 2. So this is 1 and minus 2. Second. Now this one we cannot plot because b is not there. So the third coordinate we can plot. So x is 3 and y is 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we can easily plot 3 and 4. Now let's do this. Keep this in mind. We have to do this with the scale. Okay. Now, so this is done. Use the table alongside to draw the graph. So the graph is done. Now we have to find the value of A and B. So let's find A first. Now to find the value of A, y is given. So y is minus 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it lies here only. And the straight line passes through this point only. So here y is 5 and what is the value of x? X is 0. So the value of A is 0 and y is minus 5. This is given. So therefore A is equals to 0. So this way we will find. Similarly, if you look at this one, x is 2. X is 1 and 2 and y is 1. So if you plot a point here because it is not passing through the same point. So we have to draw it on perpendicular and so now here what I did, see, if you look at this point, both the point and the straight line passing through the same point. So that's why the value of A is 0. But here, if you look at this one, x is 2, which does not pass through the same point, but here is the point. So what we do here is, to find the coordinate, we'll draw a perpendicular. So if you look at this one, so if the line passes here and if the point is here, another point, to find another point, you have to draw a perpendicular. So it passes through this point. So this is the coordinate. So what we do here is, we'll draw a perpendicular and we'll come. So x is 2, and y is 1. So the value of y is b here. So b is equals to 1. So its coordinate is 2 and b is 1. So I suggest you, so if you look at this one, whatever coordinate you will get, that we have to plot it and then put that point in a circle and then write the coordinate out so that examiner will know what are the coordinates. Alright, so this is how we solve. With this example, I think you'll be able to solve the exercise very easily. So all the best. So if you have any question, any queries, then you can comment there. Okay.